So today we have a special guest, a very, 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 very special guest. He's actually the founder of Access Consciousness. And the first time I met Gary Douglas, I was so filled with gratitude, I cried the whole night long because for the first time in my life, I'd actually been seen. So without further ado, I would love to invite you to a man that has changed my life absolutely and totally and continues changing everybody's life all over the world. Gary Douglas, would you like to say hello?
Hello, everybody. Glad to talk to you.
So, Gary Douglas, I would love to chat with you about a few things today. Now, some of the listeners out there requested that we begin talking about Earth changes and what's been going on planet Earth, and I thought, oh my gosh, what a better person than you.
Hey, how cool is that? Well, I have a little different point of view than most people, I think. Number one, it's like, if you talk to geologists, you'll find that Earth has changed less in the last 2,000 years than it has. It's had less change, and in a geological sense, it's had less change in the last 2,000 years than it has in any other time of its life. Well, that's kind of odd, isn't it? Except that this has also been the 2,000 years in which mankind has become more predominant and more in charge of more things. So, given that, science also tells us if we look at a molecule, we change its structure just by looking at it, is it possible that the energy that we have available is part of the reason that the Earth has not changed? And I think what's happened is that the Earth has been in jail for 2,000 years, and it's decided its time is up. It's over. Its sentence was complete, and it's now time to get out and party. So the Earth is going to go through some changes? Yeah, absolutely, because it has to. It's been held captive too long. And what we can do is contribute to the Earth and contribute to these changes. What if they weren't natural disasters but natural changes that we were experiencing? Well, we look at them a little different, and we begin to get clear about where our role is on the Earth and what we have to offer, what we have to contribute, or what we can't contribute, which I think is the most important thing that any of us can choose.
Is this sort of what we can actually contribute? So what advice would you give the listeners out there for contributing to the Earth and sort of how to be aware in these times of such change?
Well, one of the things we've discovered is that a whole lot of the people that are in Access have become more aware, more conscious. And as they've become more aware and more conscious, they've started to feel more pain in their body. And so one of the things that we started looking at, okay, so what's creating this pain, and does it belong to you or someone else or something else? Those are the three questions you want to ask when you feel a pain in your body. Mine, someone else, something else. If it's something else, you got a 99% chance of it being the Earth that needs some energy from you. And it's like in Avatar, they talked about, it's like we borrow from the planet and we must give that energy back. Well, we've been taking energy from the Earth for over 2,000 years, and now maybe it's time for us to give back. So we need to start looking at, okay, so what do I need to contribute to the Earth? So I always look from the point of view of, okay, so where can I contribute? How can I contribute? What do I need to contribute? And that's a different point of view than most people take. But one of the things we've discovered is if you go, mine, someone else, something else, first thing that pops up is something else, then what you need to do is contribute to the Earth. And whatever that energy is that you personally have to offer the Earth is requesting that of you dynamically, which is why you, quote, unquote, feel bad. So when you feel that, if you go 1, 2, 3, and, contribute that energy to the Earth, a whole lot of changes can occur. Makes it a whole lot easier when you realize, oh, I can contribute to the Earth instead of just taking from it. That's one of the things we also talk about in Access is that you really need to recognize you need to have a stewardship of the Earth, not an ownership. Do you really own it? Does it go to work to go out and earn money to pay the taxes and pay for the house and pay for the construction and stuff, or do you? Who owns who? Earth owns us, not the other way around. So we need to be willing to contribute the way we choose, when we choose, as we can. And that's one of the things that I keep looking at. It's like, what can I contribute to the earth? And as a result of just even having that point of view, one of the things that's happened is as we go around the earth, I keep gathering information. And it's amazing. It's really great going to other countries because the media is so much more untainted, I guess is the best word I can say about it. It's like we don't hear a whole lot of stuff that goes on every place else. Every other country gives you a much more intense report about what's going on. That's like one of the things that I heard in Australia, which I never heard in the United States, is that if we continue to take fish out of the ocean the way we are, that by 2043 we could have no more free fish. And I went, wow, that's just bizarre. Is that really possible? Then I was in Sweden, and I saw a report that they had done that showed that the fish in the North Sea had diminished by 96% over the last 100 years.
Wow.
Then I was in another country, and I heard a report about the fact that the sharks have been biting people, biting boats, biting surfboards, biting all kinds of things. Why are they trying for a new source of food? Yeah, they're looking for new sources. The other thing is that we were in Australia at one point, and 60 pilot whales beached themselves. And everybody's, oh, my God, what a tragedy. And I'm going, so what are they trying to tell us? And I asked that question in class, and somebody said, well, are you aware that 2 weeks ago there was a giant oil spill in that area of the ocean where they beached themselves? I went, no. And it's like, for me, it was like, wow, you know what? The earth is trying to tell us we need to change our point of view, and we're not listening very well.
Yeah, I mean, wow. It's incredible when you start listening to the earth, what it's actually trying to say.
Exactly. And it's like the other thing that's interesting to me, it's like when when global warming occurred, and they're talking about greenhouse gases and how this is an increase of global warming, and I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, what about the gas we're taking out of the ocean and replacing with, the oil we're taking out of the ocean and replacing with salt water? Salt water allows heat to dissipate much more rapidly than oil does. Oil reaches a certain temperature, and then it slowly disperses the heat. Well, what we've got is we're replacing the oil with water, seawater in particular, and we're taking all this oil out of the earth and out of the ocean and replacing it with, it's like, is that going to increase the core temperature rising closer to the earth? Yeah. Okay, so what else is going on the earth? It's like, let's see. Pakistan has done the most underground nuclear testing of any country in the world, and last year they had the worst earthquake they've ever had in, over 100 years. Guys, get clear. If you're going to blast under the ground, you really don't think it's going to have an effect? We're cracking the tectonic plates and then wondering why we're having earthquakes and tsunamis and all this other stuff. It's like, it's just crazy to me. And then I also think that, nuclear, power plants, yeah, how many of them are on or near faults? Almost all of them, because most of the faults are near the coast, and most of the places are built near coast where they have water. And it's like they're talking about, you hear occasionally something about, nuclear waste being dropped into the ocean from the earthquake in Japan. But it hasn't affected the groundwater yet. What? It's like, please, let's get real. Let's get real and look at this stuff. Last night on TV, they had a thing here in California where they have found, minute particles of nuclear stuff in the cow's milk at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, which is near the Diablo Canyon power plant, which is why they test it all the time. But they say it's not that bad. Don't worry about it. It won't affect your health badly. I'm sorry. Why are we doing this? Are we? It's like, aren't there other alternatives? And it's like, shouldn't we be looking for a different way of doing things when you've already seen that, we had Chernobyl. Since it wasn't in the United States, nobody paid much attention. We had the earthquake in Japan, and now we have a meltdown going on there. If that continues, and that has the effect that it could very well have, 150 square miles of Japan will not be occupiable. That's not a very big country. So losing that kind of space is not going to be in their best interest. And yet, we'll still build another nuclear power plant on the ocean near a fault. It doesn't matter. We need the power. Well, what if we found a different or an alternative way of creating power? And I've run into people in Europe who came up with a system that you could actually burn the garbage from the waste that people create on a daily basis. They have machines that if you took a 10 square block area and you put it through this waste cycle of this machine, you would create enough energy to run the 10 square blocks on their electrical needs. Why aren't we looking into that kind of technology? Why aren't we looking into a different way of doing what we're doing? It's not working, but we keep going, oh, it's fine. It won't kill you. Okay. How many people have to die before you begin to realize that we're actually killing the earth? And that's the thing that always gets me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can kind of feel the listeners out there having this sense of either wanting to save the earth or wanting to help it or wanting to do something and sort of feeling bad about it. So can you talk a little bit energetically about what that contributes to the earth or how they can shift to become a greater contribution through all
this? Well, it's like trying to save the earth isn't necessarily going to work, because what we do is we come to a conclusion and an answer about what it's going to take to save it, instead of what are we going to have to do to change this. We need to look at what we can change. Now, it's like scientists have proven again and again that if you yell and scream at a plant, it dies. If you play nice music or you have laughter in the area, it prospers. Well, you got to create an energy that's laughter. You really want to help the earth? Get as much laughter into your life as you possibly can, because most people take their anger, rage, fury, and hate and blast it around the world thinking that, it's like, and to all their neighbors and everybody else, thinking it's valuable. The real value is in laughter. You got to get some laughter on the earth. Every time you laugh, you undo 10 people's anger. You want to grow the earth, help the earth? Laughter is the key. Please, please get this. I know a lot of you going, well, that's too simple. Well, what if it is that simple? What if we were willing to see how simple things can really be and start instituting what is simple that will actually help?
All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick break. There are two people that I would love you to meet.
Hi, everybody. This is Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness.
And Dr. Dane here, co-creator of Access Consciousness.
And we'd like to congratulate Rikka Zimmerman on her new program on
the World Puja Network. Way to go, Rikka!
Now we're talking. I love the fact that you're interested in changing the world and that you're interested in creating more consciousness, Rikka. So are we.
And what would it be like if we could not only change everything in our lives, but change the world and have it actually be fun in the process? That's what we'd like to invite you to.
Check us out at accessconsciousness.com and see what's available for you. Come play with us. Come join the Consciousness Party.
Hello and welcome back. That's wonderful. And all you listeners out there know that I am interviewing Access Consciousness founder Gary Douglas. And he founded Access Consciousness around 24 years ago. Is that right, Gary?
Yep, 24 years ago is when I started. And it's like for me it was, it's like I just looked around my life and I went, you know what, if this is all there is, I'd rather die than live like this. Something's got to change. Something's got to be different. It's like I saw people with relationships that were miserable, going, relationship is everything. I saw people, beating their kids and talking about family is everything. If family is everything, why are you being mean to them? You don't get the perspective that people function from in this reality, I look at it and I go, okay, so what makes that right? What's valuable about that? Why are we choosing that? And I realized for me, it's like, you know what, things had to change, or I saw no reason to continue to live. It was not valuable enough to be on planet Earth to just sort of go along and exist. I really wanted to live. And, it's like people are always saying, I'm trying to get my life together. Well, life under those circumstances is a verbs or an action. It's like, what would it be like if you were living your life instead of having your life? If you start to live your life, you start to create something greater all the time. It makes life more fun. Oh, and that creates laughter, and that creates the earth, and that stops, keeping everything bad. And so that's my idea.
So can you tell them a little bit about how you developed this access consciousness?
Well, years ago, I, was in the metaphysical community, and it's like I was trying to help some people get to become channelers, and all of a sudden somebody wanted to talk through me, and the next thing I knew, I was channeling. And I tried the channeling, and I did that for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden this guy called me from New York City, and he says, I'd like you to come to New York and do some channeling. And I said, okay, fine, and I went there, and he asked me to do a guided massage for his massage therapist. And I said, what is that? Do I have to open my eyes? Do I have to touch your body? Do I get to keep my clothes on? And he said, oh, yeah, it's just, you're just going to, talk to my massage therapist. And I did, and that was when the first elements of access began to be put out in the world. And I left there, and I went out to lunch with this guy, and all of a sudden it was like, bam, and it was being like hit with a 2x4 between the ears. I said, okay, it's a class, I get it. And it's like, once again, boom, it's a class, you dummy. And I went, okay, it's a class, I'll do it as soon as I get home. I came home and I called up 4 friends of mine, and I said, they said, I said, I'm doing a class. On what? Energy work? Okay, good. So it's like, and how long is it? 3 nights. And, and that's how it began. And I did the first class, and I did it totally channeled. I did channeling of the classes for about a year. And then one day they just walked out and said, we're done. Get to work. And so since that time, I've been doing all my classes, not channeled, but just straight as me. And what I discovered is that every person who comes to Access has a gift to give. And it's like when they are willing to let go of some point of view that they know that other people don't, it actually opens the door to more possibilities. So every class in Access changes every other class because every new person who comes gives something new to us to create something greater. And it's just amazing. I'm stunned by the things people know, the things people are aware of, what they can do, and what gets created.
Well, and I know that you stun a lot of people with your ability to be so present and so aware with everything that they have going on. I mean, I've watched you facilitate people in such ways that the entirety of their past in a particular area dissipates just by a question you ask. Is that just something
that was probably the best thing about doing the Access work in the first place was that it's like I would, it's like we were doing the bars, and the bars are a particular kind of energy, and you pull energy through their person's body, and then you pull it through their feet, and then you pull it through their hands to open up and get things going. Then you put your hands on their bars on these 32 different points that release thoughts, feelings, emotions, anything you stored in any lifetime that actually isn't serving you. And, it's like when I would run the energy, I couldn't feel a thing. I was so not sensitive to any of it that I would pull the energy and I'd be doing it and I'd be sitting there going, okay, I wonder if anything is happening. So I'd ask the question, how does this feel to you? If you pull any harder, you're going to suck me right out of my body. Okay, cool. I'd go down to their feet, and I'd do the energy pull down there, and they, and they'd say, it's like I go, how does this feel to you? If you pull me any harder, it's going to pull me right on my body. Okay, good. And when I had to, run their bars, I'd ask them, how does this feel to you? And they'd say, oh, my God, it's just doing this and this and this and this. And it's like I did that for about 3 months, and then all of a sudden my hands turned on like they were friggin' on fire. But the good news is, in doing that, I had to learn to ask a question. And it's like in learning to ask a question, it's amazing that everybody knows what's really going on for them. And if you ask a question, it's amazing what they can tell you. And it's like if you get the idea that everything we've ever experienced in any lifetime is available to us if we are capable of asking the right question, it opens a door to a possibility that's greater than anything we ever thought was possible. And it's like learning to ask a question is one of the hardest things for people to do because we're taught to get the answer, right answer, right answer, right answer. What's the right answer here? Like you go to school and it's like having a question. I mean, I was the question kid of the universe when I was a kid. It's like, well, what does this mean, teacher? What is this happening? What's happening with this, teacher? And why is this way? And it's like, shut up, Gary, and settle down. And it was so interesting because I was always like asking questions, and I was told to shut up and be quiet. And unfortunately, I wasn't that kind of kid, so I kept asking questions. But I got in a lot of trouble for asking questions.
Well, thank goodness you didn't stop asking questions. I mean, I'm absolutely and totally you've chosen to be able to gift us all of this information so that we could all have it. So thank you very much.
My job, it's like my point of view is, it's like how do I change this world? By changing everybody one person at a time. But when I was channeling, one of the things they told me that every time you run somebody's bars, you change 3,500 other people because you when you erase the thoughts, ideas, beliefs, considerations, attitudes, or emotions that they sold other people, when you erase theirs, it erases out of all the people they sold it to. And when you do one of these clearing statements, these points of creation that we do, you clear something, and it's like all of a sudden 350,000 other people get clear of the same issue. Well, you know what? That's the ultimate multi-level marketing. We're a multi-level marketing consciousness plan. Except people don't have to opt in. They just get to, they get to choose to change because of the fact they know you or knew you in some lifetime. How's that for funny?
That is very cool. Well, and just that all of us are actually a contribution, I think that's a new concept for people, to know that they can contribute to the earth and they can contribute to the collective consciousness and changing it and having something else be possible based on what each of us are willing to choose out there. So what if you guys are way cooler than you ever thought you were?
Well, you might point it from the, what if you were way less effed up than you thought you were? Point I come from. You're not nearly as effed up as you think you are. So when you start to get that, okay, what if I'm not nearly as effed up as I think I am?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, just feel the energy of that when you think that. Now it's like, what if I'm not nearly as effed up as I think I am? Wow. It starts to open doors to possibilities. And this is what you want to do. Open the doors to possibilities. Because that's the one that gives you everything you would like to have in your life. What would it be like to have everything you desired in your life show up? It's really, it's a great possibility. It's a great choice.
Yeah.
So how about if we run a process here, okay?
Sure.
People a sample of it. Okay, so with the earth. Okay, so what you want is a sense of communion with the earth, because when you have, it's like your body is designed to have a vibration that matches the earth. But how many of us allow ourselves to have that? It's like one of the things I noticed is when I would go out in the deep woods, or when I would, go out riding a horse, or when I would be in nature, I would have this sense of connection to all things around me, and it would be this sort of, it's like not a sense of separation. In the city, there's always this sense that there's this separation, that everybody is living in their own little bubble of reality, and that's just the way it's supposed to be. Well, what if that was not actually true? What if communion with all things is the thing that will give you all the energy, all the creation, and all the things you need to institute in your life, which will make it better? So let's do a little process. So what creation and generation of communion with Earth as an absolute non-reality are you using to lock into existence the positional heat pads? Heat pads are handicaps, entrophies, paralysis, atrophy, and destructions. The heat pads that maintain the limitations and destructions of your life. Everything that is times a godzillion, we destroy and create it all.
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Okay, now the bad news is I can feel that running. Now some of you may feel like an energy moving in your body. That's the idea. What we'd like to do is to get you to the point where communion with Earth is not a non-reality, but actually a reality that's available to you. Because when you're in communion with Earth, then everything you ask for starts to come to you. Because every molecule in the universe has consciousness. And if you start to ask, question, ask, question, ask, question, ask, then what happens is the universe does everything it can to rearrange things to deliver what you request. So what generation and creation of communion with Earth as an absolute non-reality are you using to lock into existence the positional heat pads you are instituting as the limitations that are locking up your life? Everything that is times a godzillion, we destroy and create it all.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. For this to work, all you got to do is think yes. And it is working. So I can feel it working on all of you. Isn't that terrible? I get to feel around the world. Poor me. Well, that awareness around the world. Now, if you have communion with Earth, maybe if there's going to be a major earthquake, you're going to be out of town that day. Maybe if, there's, a major problem or a meltdown at the local power plant, you're going to be across the world at the time. You never can tell. Like there's a lady in Christchurch, New Zealand, where they've had these two massive earthquakes in the last year. And it's like her house is the only one on her block that managed to be unscathed. It was the only one that didn't have either gas failures, water failures, electrical failures, or failure of foundation and all parts of it, or even windows broken out. And she was told that with this big bay window she had, that she would probably lose it if there was an earthquake. Well, hasn't happened. And the thing is that what she is in communion with her house, and she says, okay, house, take care of yourself. Okay, please take care of us, take care of yourself. Do you ask your house to take care of you? Do you ask the things around you to contribute to you? And we have to recognize with communion with Earth, you can actually have this communion with every molecule around you, and it can all contribute to you, and you can contribute to it. Strange concept, I know, but it works for me. Hey, my house, bread, can stay fresh for a month without growing mold. Weird. But I always ask my house to take care of itself when I leave, and I come back, and everything's in great order. So what generation and creation of communion with Earth as an absolute non-reality are you using to lock into existence the positional heat pads that you are instituting to create the limitations in your life? Now, what if every limitation in your life was based on the handicaps you put on yourself? Like tying your arms and legs behind you and then trying to run. The entropy, entropy is where you take something that has total order and you create chaos around it. And no, none of you live in chaos in any area of your life. Oh, yeah, you at least all have a junk drawer, don't you? Total chaos, and you just throw everything that sort of you don't know what to do with in it. Or you have a box, or you have a drawer, or you have a closet. These are all the ways all of us try to deal with things, quote unquote, without dealing with things. Then there's the paralysis. That paralysis is when you get a bill that you didn't expect, and you go, oh my God. Well, how am I going to pay that? But you feel paralyzed. You don't go, oh, what do I have to do to pay this? What do I have to do different? How am I going to pay this is the idea that you can't, and you got to find a method or a modality rather than, okay, so what can I do to create and generate this? And the atrophy is where you start to let the muscles and the parts of your body just, disintegrate. It's like we're told that that over 40 you have to get worse. And every day is it getting worse, not it getting better. Well, I don't believe in that. I'm 68. I work 12 hours a day. And, and I enjoy my life every day, and I ride horses, and I have a good time. And my life is about the fun of it. And it's still generating and creating a life. I'm not getting ready to retire. And then there's the destruction, and those are all the places where you destroy what's going to create the future of your life because you're too busy, quote unquote, trying to avoid living, and too busy trying to get a life to actually recognize what is destructive about what you're choosing. So everything that is times a godzillion, we just try and create it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And we actually choose these things that are the quote unquote he pads, the things that will create something not working for us. So what generation and creation of communion with Earth as an absolute non-reality are you using to lock into existence the positional heat pads you are instituting to create and maintain the limitations of your life and living? Everything that is times a godzillion, we just try and create it all.
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds.
It's so weird because it's still running. Every time you run it, it runs.
I know, isn't that weird? Well, it's like the thing is that we keep thinking we live on Earth rather than we live with Earth. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the concepts that's here that's such a lie that locks us all up because you don't live on Earth, you live with Earth. Earth is part of what you have. One of the things we discovered is, people talk about getting a body. Well, you don't just get a body. You embody this whole reality. It's like, and if you recognize, embodiment of this whole reality is being aware of everything around us. Now, if you really didn't have embodiment, when you opened your eyes and looked out the window, would you be able to see across the street? Would you be able to see and feel and hear and experience the wind, and experience the sun, and experience the rain? No, because it would just be about your body, and it would be a little insular universe. Mm-hmm. What you're looking for is not the insular universe. You're looking for a universe in which something is created by your connection to everything. So what generation and creation of communion with Earth as an absolute non-reality are you using to lock into existence the positional heat pads you are instituting to limit your life and your living? Everything that is times a godzillion, we just try and create it all.
Yeah.
All right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyond. See, the funny thing to me is it's like you have to actually choose these things you're going to, choose, the limitations. You have to choose these. How do you choose them? You choose them by actually thinking, by thinking you can, not by recognizing the reality is you have choice. You choose something, you become more aware. You have question, okay, that was a bad choice. What would I like to choose now? Question, choice. Possibilities open up every time you choose. Oh, I could do something different here. And the last one, contribution. What contribution can I be or receive today? And all of those things unlock a place where you can function totally different. Would you like to live your life from a totally different universe? How do you do that? By the choices you make. Choices create awareness. Awareness does not create choice. We've always told you got to get the right answer. So it's like if you're trying to function from right answer, you're functioning from a whole place of the rightness of the choice you make, not that the choice creates awareness. So what generation and creation of communion with Earth as an absolute non-reality are you using to lock into existence the positional heat pads you are instituting to limit your life and your living? Everything that is times a godzillion. We just trying to create it all.
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyond.
Hello, all you beautiful infinite beings out there in Radio Land. just wanted to take a moment to invite you to something. Just imagine the excitement of waking up every morning to an enlightening, fun, and igniting audio session with myself as your guide, exploring the secrets of the universe you should have been given when you were born. Each day will gift you a new secret to practice that changes your life experience. A written exercise that pertains to your life, each day building on the last, creating a whole different platform for the conscious creation of your life. You are inspired and empowered, journaling the unveiling of the infinite gifts delivered to your doorstep as the universe whispers in your ear, keep going, you're on the right path.
This course is truly invaluable. Biggest turnarounds for me, the clarity of information, easy step exercises, really change and shift some energies that I've been stuck with most of my life.
It shifted my life so incredibly. I would absolutely pay at least $10,000 for it.
The ideas that she works with, plus her own capacities, are incredible, and she's a ton of fun.
The most incredible thing, being able to get out of judgment of myself.
That's the power of it. It's like we have this forever.
The successes, the triumphs, and the challenges of people brought out so much for everyone that it moved us all forward together.
If you would just choose for yourself and do this, it just opens up giant avenues. I'm really grateful, Rikka. Thank you. Thank you, Rikka.
Thank you, Rikka.
Thank you so much, Rikka.
Thank you very much.
As you can tell, the changes in people's lives is quite phenomenal. So if this is something that interests you, go to 21secretsoftheuniverse.com. I look forward to hearing all the beautiful changes that get to occur in your life. Thanks so much.
Okay, folks, so I highly recommend you listen to this, 10 or 12 times at least, because every time it's going to go to a deeper level. And the weird part about it is the more you live with Earth instead of on Earth, the more you will start to generate everything you would like to have in your life, and the more it starts to show up. What a strange concept, huh?
So can you talk a little bit about the shifting of vibration on the planet and how there are some people who are checking off, and sort of how do we maneuver during these times? Like what's required of us to begin shifting and changing our own vibration to be able to sort of...
Well, that's one of the reasons I ask you to be in communion with Earth, because if you change your vibration, if you are with Earth instead of living on it, you will change as it changes. One of the things they said that I heard from a technician at that was part of an airline, he said that after the tsunami in Indonesia, it's like literally the earthquake was so bad that it created a wobble in the Earth's axis. And in so doing, it started to change the grid lines, and they had to adjust every few months in order to make sure the planes got to the right place.
Wow.
And I would be willing to bet money that the same thing happened with Chile and the same thing just happened with Japan, because anything over 8 affects the whole Earth in its rotation. So it's like people are, looking at, it's like everybody talked about global warming really dynamically, right? And that was a big thing, global warming, global warming, global warming. Okay. So one of the things I've noticed is this year, all the places I've been, it's been colder than it's ever been. Is that global warming or global colding? What is going on? It's like, and I've noticed that here in Santa Barbara where I live, it's like the rain patterns are different. The energy patterns, the flowers are coming out at a different time. The horses are shedding their hair at a different time. Okay, so it's like animals are far more aware of the differences that happen with the earth than we are because they live with it, not on it. They are part of it. And it's like if there's not enough food, then they know it and then they don't have babies. If there's a major drought, they're aware of it and they don't have as many children, and they start to conserve things. And when there's green grass, the wild horses will eat like crazy until they become highly fat because they know when summer hits, there isn't going to be anything for them to eat. and they have to sustain themselves and move more in order to maintain what they're getting. Now, maybe we should watch nature a little bit. It's like in the tsunami in Indonesia, elephants that had been staked to a particular area for 30 years, pulled out of the ground and ran for the hills. The humans went to the beach to get free fish. You know what? Be the brightest creature on the planet. We just think we are. So it's really important for us to get that, you know what? It may not be as we see it, but you got to get that the vibration of the earth is occurring. I know a whole lot of people who have gotten cancer this year. Why? Because they have been trying to live on the earth rather than with it. The people I know who've been living more and more with the earth are not having those kind of health problems, quote unquote. So if you know people who are having health problems, you might want to go, are they living on earth or with earth? And if you get that they're living on earth, then you'll understand why it is for them. It's a necessity for them to die. Because if you're living on earth, it's like what you have to do is you have to always go against what it's choosing to have what you're choosing. It doesn't actually work. We need to be in communion with it, in connection with it, and moving with it vibrationally and in every other way in order to have a choice and awareness of what to choose.
So what would be some of the ways or signs in which you're living on Earth versus living with Earth? Like what could you give the listeners out there as either a tool or something they could use to be with Earth versus on it?
Well, with Earth is recognizing, getting up and going, wow, it's like when people get up and they go, oh, God, it's raining, I hate it. That's not living with Earth. That's living on it. It's like when you wake up in the morning and you go, okay, what kind of day are we going to have today? What kind of great adventure can I experience here? And it's like, and what you start to look at is you start to look, oh, you know what? I have this choice. I have a different choice here than I've had before. What if you looked at, okay, what choice do I have today? It's like for me, one of the things that has happened a whole lot is I spent a whole lot of time, like working like crazy. And I'd work, 12 hours a day for 7 days a week. And I would have somebody call up and say, I need to change my appointment. And if they did that, if two people called up on the same day, I'd call the rest of the appointments I have and say, you know what, something's come up. I'm not going to be able to do it today. Can we change the appointment? And those people would always say, wow, you know what, I really wanted to change, but I know how busy you were, so I didn't dare. But that's so much more convenient for me. Thank you so much. And I realized that was the earth telling me it was time to take a day off and rest my body. What if the earth could tell you when you needed to rest your body? What if the earth was desirous of you, taking care of yourself? How many of you eat until you're too full, drink until you're sloshed, do things that don't make your body feel good? Whenever you're asking your body what it would like to eat, instead of I like to eat chocolate or I'd like to eat this, it's like when you ask your body what it would like to eat, you're starting to be with Earth, not on it.
Wow, I never saw it as a day off, as a day to contribute to the Earth and your body.
Yeah, I know. You see, it's like your body has value to the Earth, or it wouldn't let it continue to exist. It would just have a tsunami and wipe you off of it. It's like if you're not being a contribution to the Earth, and chances are during a quote-unquote natural disaster, you're going to be one of those that goes. What a strange concept, huh?
So is part of that where people sort of live their lives from their thoughts and feelings, sort of their own universe, so they can't be aware of the world around them and the Earth?
Well, the thing is, you do have to have a awareness of the whole universe. That's the reason everything in Access is about getting you more conscious and more aware. Why? Because the more aware you become, the more you begin to pick up all the energies around you. Just like in Indonesia, there were some people who had been at the resort there for 10 days. They had another 2 days. And that day that the tsunami came, they said, hey, let's go to the mountains. Everybody's, I was having such a good time at the beach. Now let's go to the mountains. It'd be fun. Let's go do something different. And they felt they needed to leave. So they found a reason and a justification for leaving, and they missed the friggin' tsunami. Poor people.
Wow.
You know, and it's that kind of thing. It's like if you're really willing to be all this, then you will miss the things that other people, you will miss the things that other people think are really important. You'll miss the disasters, quote unquote. But once again, if you don't call it natural disasters but natural changes, are you willing to experience the natural change? People who survive these things, they're willing to survive and experience the natural change. Natural change is just part of everything. The thing that's weird to me is when you're a kid, you expect every day to be different. You expect every day to change. When you become an adult, you try to make sure it doesn't. Doesn't that seem just a little odd? What if we could be, it's like, and all the great philosophies talk about you should be childlike. Well, that's part of being childlike, expecting everything to change all the time, not expecting it to maintain and be the same. That's a great gift when you're willing to recognize, what would it be like if everything were to change, and what would it be like if I were willing to have this change occur instead of trying to make it stay the same forever. Different possibility, different reality.
Wow. Well, and I'd love to take a moment to talk about the oil spill and sort of where you guys function from in Access Consciousness and what occurred in regards to it.
Okay. I don't like to advertise that. You're going to make me do that, are you? Okay.
You don't have to.
Well, okay, so basically what it boils down to is, our basic point of view is how do we contribute to the Earth, what can we do, and how can we help you, Earth? And this is where we look from, okay? How can we help you, Earth? So when the oil spill occurred in the Gulf of Mexico, they were talking about all this stuff. And so everybody says, can't we do something about it? And I said, yeah, we can. And every time I ask, Earth says no. And, I looked at it and I go, so how come, if we can help it, how come Earth won't let us? And I finally realized all these natural changes are things where the Earth needs us to wake up and look from a different place. So what if we were truly willing to look at things and change them as they needed? And it's a very difficult thing for people to realize that just because you can do something doesn't mean you need to do something. So it's imperative that we start looking at how do we make this work. So what do you want to occur here? So I asked it's like I kept asking, can we do anything? Can we do anything? Can we do anything? And then one day I got a yes. I went, okay, now we can do something. So I asked everybody in Access, I sent it on an email and asked everybody in Access at this particular time to contribute whatever they could to changing what was occurring in the Gulf. That I wanted the oil spill to go away? I didn't know what change meant. I just knew the Earth would willingly receive the energy we could do to contribute to changing things. So we did it, and all of a sudden the oil disappeared. And 2 days later there was an article about 1 inch by 2 inches in the New York Times saying that they discovered this strange little microbe that was eating the oil. And it's like they had no idea where it came from, they had no idea how it got there, and they had no idea what occurred. But everything changed in the Gulf right then. Now, it was amazing to me because they were talking about 20 years for the shrimp industry to recover, major things. But you heard almost nothing about the oil spill after that. And BP, we had their advertisements, and we can't find the oil, but we're still searching. We're going to fly all over the ocean and see where it's gone and get rid of it. Cool. So whatever we can do, we will do what we can. And it's like if each of us energetically were willing to contribute to whatever change was necessary. It's like, and at some point, and everybody keeps saying, well, can't we do something about Japan? And I keep getting a no. Okay, why? I don't know. My sense is there's a possibility that until people wake up and realize that this is not a good idea, until some change occurs with the people on the Earth so that they stop trying to create their life from what is being told to them and begin to step up to a communion with Earth, we won't be able to do anything. But when the time comes and we're able to do something, I'll ask everybody in Access all over the world to contribute to doing whatever we can energetically to change what's occurring there. The natural change, which we call a natural disaster.
And that reminds me, you guys, you may want to go to accessconsciousness.com and log in so that you can get these, upcoming events and such, and also get the emails about the contributions that we do to the Earth. And I'd love to take a second to offer all you listeners out there, Gary and Dane offer 2 money classes for you guys, and I know all of you would love to receive more money. So if you
people don't like money, Rika. What kind of attitude is that?
So if you go to www.freegiftfromrika, you can log in and download those 2 audios as a gift from Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness. So I'll tell you thank you for them, Gary.
Okay, thanks, Rika. Yeah, it's like we gave that away. It was part of a $1,200 course, and we gave those 2 away because we feel that they will help people to sort of turn around the, financial downturn for them personally. And it's like all you got to do is be willing to have it. It's like when the financial downturn occurred here in the United States, the interesting thing is 80% of the people in Access had no diminishment in their income. Their net worth might have gone down, but everybody's did. But their income did. In fact, many of them had their income increase, which is totally friggin' bizarre. But they were asking a question. They were not coming to the conclusion, oh, my God, it's a disaster. They went, well, how can we use this to our advantage? How can we make this work for us? How can we have a different result than everybody else is getting? And that's what occurred. It's been amazing.
And that's what's occurred in my life totally and completely ever since I got into Access. So
I'm so sorry.
I am so grateful for all of the tools and processes and every choice you've ever made to be able to just deliver this information in a way people can have it. One of the most beautiful things about Access, as you guys know, is that it's about the question. And it's about empowering each and every one of you to know what you know. And like Gary said, everyone who comes to these classes basically ask a question that changes all of Access. So we're grateful for each and every one of you. There are, how many facilitators, bars facilitators and facilitators are there worldwide, Gary?
I think we're up around 700, I believe, bars facilitators around the world, and a couple hundred facilitators of Foundation Level 1, and it's like, and there are many people who've done through Level 2 and 3 who are doing Access processing for individuals and friends and getting amazing results and amazing changes for people. It's just this amazing miracle. That's like, I like money, but money isn't my motivation for much of anything. But it's like, for me, I see the changes people get, and it's like, it's just such an amazing gift when you see people go from miserable and unhappy to totally brilliantly happy, productive, joyful, having more, creating more, generating more in their own life. And it's like, wow, I was getting better than that. It just is mind-blowing. And I love seeing seeing people get happier and get greater and enjoy their life. It's just like, wow.
Yes, and we're about to embark on a 7-day intensive in New Zealand. And I've personally been to these classes in New Zealand and Australia, and they are dynamic beyond my wildest imagination. So in Access, we also have these 7-day events where we all get together and we begin changing, like, basically everything that's not working for us and contributing to the planet, and all kinds of it's almost like Harry Potter's school for the talented and the gifted.
It's the Harry Potter school for adult wizards.
Exactly.
It's the Gary Douglas version of Harry Potter. I call it Dougwarts, not Hogwarts.
So if any of this information resonates with you, or like you just know that something is possible for you, or this feels different for you, how many of you guys sort of know that somewhere you're sort of meant for bigger or greater things. Now, if that feels like it's something that's true for you, just go to accessconsciousness.com and find a facilitator in your area. And you may want to start with either getting your bars run or trying a bars class. I mean, first time I had my bars run, everything in my entire life changed. All the voices that were going on in my head that weren't very nice were all gone. And my eyes looked different, my face looked different, my body felt different. And we've had everyone have results from, going from chronic pain to no pain to, having their eyesight come back to their hearing come back. I mean, just incredible results. So, and the thing about Access Consciousness is there's only one person powerful enough to stop you, and there's only one person that's powerful enough to set you free. So what we get to do is ask you questions. And, yeah.
Who's that can set you free or, limit you?
That would be us. And how amazing are we at limiting ourselves? Just imagine if we were actually on our own side.
That would be weird, wouldn't it?
So, Gary Douglas, we just have a few more moments here. So if you want to just, what I generally will tend to do in all of the radio shows is I will gift them their sort of assignment for the week to have greater consciousness. So if you'd be willing to gift them their assignment for this week or whatever that might be, I think they would be really grateful.
I would like them to choose to be as weird as they truly be.
I love it. So what does that look like?
Well, if you're as weird as you truly be, you're a fate, spirit, and destiny, because that's what weird really means. And that means that you stop judging you and start having fun as you.
That's wonderful. Like I always say, you can either live in hell and judge yourself,